Welcome to Lesson 3 of Volunteer Training for Safe Haven for Cats. At Safe Haven, we want your volunteering experience to be a happy and safe one. To make sure you are set up for success, we have included information in this lesson that is vital for all volunteers. First, this lesson will review where to begin each volunteer shift and what to do or not to do once you arrive at Safe Haven. Second, we want your interaction with the cats to be positive, so this lesson discusses how to approach unfamiliar cats and how to read their body language. This will allow you to decipher how our feline friends feel as well as what they need and desire. Third, this lesson will tell you where to locate the guidelines for the cat's playroom and playtime etiquette. Everyone loves playtime, however, we want to ensure that the cats and volunteers are kept safe. This lesson will take approximately 15 minutes to complete. Make sure you have a copy of your volunteer handbook to use as a reference as you go through this lesson. Let's take a moment to review the objectives. After completing this lesson, you will be able to state where you arrived to begin each volunteer shift, explain what to do upon your arrival at the shelter, explain how to approach an unfamiliar cat, evaluate how a cat is feeling based on his or her body language, and locate the playroom guidelines. All volunteers will report to the shelter at 8431-137 Garvey Drive in Raleigh. You'll report 5 minutes prior to the start of your shift for the volunteer meeting. Once you arrive, check in with the designated Safe Haven staff member. Please do not open any cat enclosures or touch any cats prior to or during the volunteer meeting. This is for the cat's safety as well as for yours. Disease control and safety are our top priority. During the volunteer meeting, a Safe Haven staff member or cleaning captain will discuss topics such as upcoming special events and recent cat adoptions. In addition, the leader will talk about the needs of the shelter and provide directions to ensure you are fully informed as to what is necessary for each shift. Feel free to ask questions during the meeting. We want you to be comfortable and confident with what is being asked of you. Depending on your role, you may be introduced to cats that require special instructions or handling. You will never be alone on any shift. Most days we have a fair number of seasoned volunteers who will be assigned to you as a mentor until you are comfortable with your duties. There will always be a Safe Haven staff member or cleaning captain nearby to answer questions. Part of becoming a volunteer at Safe Haven includes knowing how to interact with cats and learning how they talk to us. Now you will learn about cat communication. Did you know that cats use a variety of signals to communicate their feelings and to avoid unwelcome confrontations? Knowing how to approach a cat will create more successful encounters with our feline friends. Did you also know that felines are incredibly scent-oriented? Cats will sniff a person's face or hands to confirm your identity. When approaching an unfamiliar cat, you can perform a few steps to make sure the interaction is successful. First, gently approach a cat. Kneel or squat to the cat's level and slowly put your hand out towards their nose. Letting a cat sniff your hand is like humans shaking hands. Remember to keep your hand low, otherwise they may think you're going to attack them. Speak softly to the cat and do not make any sudden moves. When verbally communicating with a cat, use a slightly high tone of voice to indicate friendliness. And certainly never yell at a cat. Next, take the cat's lead. If the cat wants to interact, he or she will rub his or her cheek or head against your hand. Always approach petting a cat with a gentle hand, especially if the cat is unfamiliar. During the greeting and petting, always keep a close eye on the kitty's body language. A fixed stare, horizontal ears, or downturned tail could be signs of aggression. If you see or sense the cat's patience waning, stop petting him or her immediately. So now let's talk about the 4 key areas to address when petting a cat. As mentioned previously, Always approach petting a cat with a gentle hand, especially if the cat is unfamiliar to you. According to veterinarian Dr. Marty Becker, most cats enjoy being pat in 4 different spots on their bodies. The first is the base of the chin. Rub the cat gently along the underside of the chin, especially where the jawbone connects to the skull. The base of the ears. The cheeks behind the whiskers. And lastly, the base of the tail. A gentle caress down the back with pressure at the base of the tail will make your feline friend very happy. When you pet cats in these areas, you're making them feel wonderfully content, and you're also helping them to mark you with their special scent, which makes them even happier. One place to avoid is rubbing on the belly. Just because you can see it is not an invitation to rub. Earlier we mentioned that it is important to keep an eye on a cat's body language. Now we're going to talk about how cats communicate with us through the use of body language and more. It is important to know how cats communicate with us so you can assess how a cat is feeling before you approach them. Understanding a cat is simply a matter of paying attention, observing the cat's face, ears, and body language and/or vocalizations, and reacting accordingly. Often our feline friends will use multiple forms of body language to show their feelings. Generally, cats communicate with us using their eyes, ears, and tail. Let's take a look at each body part, beginning with the eyes. Cats' eyes are gorgeous and mesmerizing, but they can also offer insight into how a cat is currently feeling. If you see dilated pupils, a cat is feeling either very playful or fearful. In this case, use other body language cues, for example the ears and tail, to determine how the cat is truly feeling. Keep in mind that these pupils can also be caused by a low amount of light in the room. If you see constricted pupils, that may indicate that the cat is tense or possibly feeling aggressive. These pupils are also caused by a lot of sunlight in the room. If you witness half closed or droopy lids, that indicates a relaxed and trusting kitty. When observing a cat's eyes, make sure you take the available light into consideration. If there is a lot of sunlight, cat's eyes will be constricted. On the other hand, if it is shaded or dark, cat's eyes will be dilated. Cats that are slowly blinking their eyes may be showing affection. Slow blinking indicates the cat feels safe and comfortable. Be aware that if you directly stare at a cat without blinking, this may be interpreted as a position of aggression that makes the cat uncomfortable. When communicating with cats, try slowly blinking at them. This is seen as a non-threatening gesture. Now let's take a look at the cat's ears. When looking at a cat's ears, there are 4 different positions that can indicate how a cat is feeling. First, there is the relaxed cat. Normally, a relaxed cat's ears will point slightly to the side and slightly forward. This indicates contentment and a sense of well-being. He or she is neither fearful nor aggressive. Second, there is the alert or interested cat. When cats are alert and something has captured their interest, their ears will assume a straight-up orientation and a forward posture. Cats will usually greet you with erect ears, offering a friendly greeting. Then there is the nervous cat. If a cat's ears are twitching, he or she is agitated and nervous. This might be a cue to offer him or her reassurance and a safe embrace. Persistent twitching could be a sign of a medical problem. Lastly, there is the frightened or aggressive cat. A cat's ears moving from an upright position to a full horizontal position indicates increased fear, annoyance, or submissiveness. This is a warning for you to leave him or her alone. A cat's ears moving from a forward posture to a backward posture indicates increased aggression. Let's move on to reading a cat's body language using their tail. Observing the position of a cat's tail is a great way to interpret how a cat is feeling. By knowing the following information, you can learn how cats talk with their tail. When a cat's tail extends straight up, this is a happy, cheerful cat who is most likely approachable. When the cat's tail shakes, the cat is very happy to see you. When the tail is up or curved, the cat is friendly but a bit unsure. When a cat is moving his or her tail rapidly back and forth and thumping, it is a good indicator that the cat is agitated and should be left alone. When cats have a bushy tail, they're not in a good mood and they're trying to appear larger and scarier than they actually are. In this case, it is best to leave them alone. A cat with a tail down may indicate that the feline is scared or threatened and therefore may be potentially aggressive. In this case, use caution. A cat's tail is in a position of defensive aggression if it is lowered, but the tip is curved upward. This indicates that something has attracted their attention, and they're very nervous, defensive, and unsure of their surroundings. If you try and pick them up, they may attack. In this case, it is best to leave them alone. If the tail is raised up and swishing, this generally conveys a powerful emotion. Your cat may be upset and want to be left alone. Cats will likely do this as they walk past you in acknowledgement, but to show you that their mind is on other things. If a cat is trying to decipher the situation, he or she may move their tail back and forth slowly as they make up their mind about how they feel. In this situation, exercise caution. Cats with a 45-degree angle tend to be non-threatening and amicable. However, if the tail is tucked under, then the cat is submissive and may be scared. Please note that this information is in your volunteer handbook and you can review it at any time. Well, so far we have covered the 4 key areas in which to pet a cat, how cats communicate using their eyes, ears, and tail. Let's move on to cat handling and the playrooms at Safe Haven. Since you are familiar with cat communication techniques, you can better assess how a cat is feeling. This becomes important when you begin handling the cats. In your volunteer handbook, there are answers to frequently asked questions regarding cat handling, such as can I pick up the cats and can I hold them outside their cages? Make sure you know the answers to these important questions. The information on how to approach a cat and cat communication will also come in handy when you engage with a cat or cats in one of the designated playrooms at Safe Haven. At the shelter, these designated playrooms give you the opportunity to play with all of the wonderful cats and kittens. At Safe Haven, we want everyone to have fun. However, there are guidelines that must be followed to keep volunteers and cats safe and happy. These guidelines are located in your volunteer handbook, so you make sure you review them. Lesson 3 covered information that is vital to the success of our volunteers. You found out that you meet at the shelter for each volunteer meeting and subsequently check in with the designated Safe Haven staff member once you arrive. Remember not to touch any cats prior to or during the volunteer meeting. Lesson 3 also covered how to approach an unfamiliar cat and cat communication techniques. You can assess how cats are feeling by observing their eyes, ears, and tail. Now you know how best to approach them. Lastly, you learn that you must review the information in your handbook regarding cat handling and cat playroom etiquette. These guidelines must be followed to keep volunteers and cats safe and happy. Thank you for being a volunteer at Safe Haven. The information in this lesson and in your volunteer handbook is vital to your success. We hope you have found this lesson informative. Never forget that your role as a volunteer is essential at Safe Haven. Congratulations, you've completed Lesson 3. You may stop here or click the link to begin Lesson 4.